Uh, Not as good as some others. I've liked the way that we've worked. I liked our intensity. I've liked our energy and effort. I think today we got to look at the tape and clean some things up. That's going to happen when you've got consecutive days like that. So the biggest thing is we got to continue to move forward and get things corrected and improve our performance so that we can get where we want to go. I think the guys have worked hard. We just got to continue to clean things up and move in the right direction.
How much of right now is still installed, and how much of it's working on what you have installed already?
Really, for the most part, I would say 90% of the stuff we're doing now is things we've done in the spring. So that even though it's install, it's things that were really new or not new to us. So we'll continue to do that, and then we'll sprinkle things in throughout the rest of the camp to give us our complete package.
Now that you're in full pads, your impressions of your linebackers so far?
I like the way we play downhill in the run game. We're working to have our fits and understand where we need to fit and play fast and be there when we need to be. I think our recognitions have improved each day as far as understanding, the misdirection plays and things like that. So for the most part, I've been pleased. I think Willie's done a really good job of catching up and being on par with the other guys that have been here since spring. So we'll have some good competition moving forward.
How would you describe how he's entered training camp, Willie Gay?
Willie? I think he's done a tremendous job. I think, first of all, he's a guy that loves football. He works at it every day. He's here early. He asked good questions, and sometimes for a young guy, guys are afraid to ask, but he's confident enough in himself and his ability. He'll ask questions, where do I need to be, why, and all that, and he picks it up really well. He's a smart player. He's instinctive, and he can run. So we're going to continue to work to develop him and let him, continue to compete.
Any of his questions sort of surprised you in a good way as far as what he's asking about?
Yeah, I think that, sometimes he may not know the right verbiage, but he knows the right spot, which at the end of the day is the most important thing, is knowing the spot and where you need to be. But I've been really impressed with him and what he's done, and, we'll continue to improve him, let him compete.
Who's emerging as leaders on defense so far?
Well, obviously Dez is a guy that gives us some leadership. I've been really impressed with Jeffrey Simmons up front in his play and his effort and energy, and his play has I think brought other guys up. Been pleased with him. Gary Green's a guy that I think does a good job in what he needs to do. John Abrams, and for the most part, all the guys have bought in, but I would really say that, Dez, Abrams, Gary, and Jeffrey are guys that have really kind of came about and been there from a leadership role.
How has Montez Sweat adjusted to his position?
Tez is he's an edge guy. He's a defensive end / outside linebacker. He can play multiple things. He plays hard. He's got some pass rush skills to him. He's got good length. We'll continue to work and develop him and let him compete at multiple spots to see which 11 guys give us the best chance to win.
Going back to linebackers, how active will those guys be in pass rush, and where are they in learning that right now?
Yeah, well, obviously outside backers are going to be really active in it. From that standpoint, so guys like Tez and Marquise and Gary, Trevor, those guys are going to be, rush backers. The two inside guys are going to, pick their spots, and they're going to rush. Not as much as the outside guys, but they'll continue to rush. So I would think we're on par with where we need to be. We're continuing to still learn how to use our hands. That's the biggest thing in teaching college guys is understanding landmark, understanding the target and where you need to strike the guy, and understanding your hips and your leverage and a feel in the block from the standpoint of, what kind of sets he give me. Do I want to stay outside? Can I convert to power? Because most good rushers have the ability to not only speed rush but collapse the pocket outside in. And those are the things that we work on every day, and the guys have bought into what we're trying to do.
How is Leo doing so far in camp?
Leo's done a good job. He's competing. He's working. He's a guy that has a lot of pride in himself and his work, and certainly, glad that he's so focused. He's a guy that really wants to do well, and he improves every day. and certainly a guy that we're going to look to, be a major contributor to what we're doing.
What do you want to see from him between now and the end of camp?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing with him is become a complete player. From a physicality standpoint, he's going to be a physical guy. He's going to be the first guy when you go to physical drills and doing those kind of things, and he's going to be physical on the run. As a linebacker, you got to be able to have the total package from a coverage standpoint and be able to understand drops and matches and those kind of things. And those things are somewhat new to him, and that's the things that we work on every day. And he's really improved that area, and he has a great understanding of what he needs to do. I think it's now more about your habitual traits and understanding here are the habits based upon the technique, and here's how I need to play it based upon the formation. And that stuff comes with repetition, so that's what we'll give him throughout the rest of camp is repetitions to let him to become more of a complete player.
You've coached All-Americans like Jarvis Jones and Justin Houston. Do you see a guy on this roster that can maybe reach that caliber, that level?
Well, I think that, that's really based upon the individual. I've been fortunate enough to be around some guys like you're saying that have been able to, Bronco Nagurski finalist and have a lot of sacks and plays like that. I think that, guys that have vision, to be that kind of guy, it's important that you work hard every day. And if you work hard every day and improve your craft, there's nothing that says that you can't be that kind of guy. So we're going to continue to work on guys and see if we can get some production.
You've been to a couple of different jobs, of course, a couple of different teams, and I'm not sure if I'm going to phrase this question correctly, but how quickly has this team sort of grasped what you're trying to put together here in comparison to other stops?
I actually think they've done a really good job. I've been really pleased with them. I think that a little bit of it as a coach, you're a teacher, and you're always looking to improve yourself. So I think that as you do that, you're always going to look at stop 1, stop 2, stop 3. And you're going to say, you always evaluate, here are the things I did well, here's the things I need to improve upon. And you also, as you move through it, you kind of have a feel for, in college football or in this league, you need these things, based upon who you're going to play. So you kind of critique or you kind of implement things relative to that. You see what I'm saying? And that way you can get a lot of repetition on it. So I've been really pleased with the way these guys have understood the system. They've worked at it. I like for us to be a loud defense as far as talking. To me, if you're talking, you have confidence in what you're doing, and if you're communicating. And I think once you have that knowledge, it gives you power and belief, and then that allows you to play fast. So I do think that there's a lot to that in understanding what you got to do to allow you to play to your ability.
So how exactly have you changed your installation process and how you get guys to learn your system from Georgia and move them now?
Well, I wouldn't say that I've changed. I would say that you kind of take the players you have, and then this is the way we're going to play. So these are the things that we're going to do. So that's why it's important to me when you first come in, you kind of look at every player and you evaluate them and you get in their spots. And as we went through spring, this is how we're going to play things. And I think that's, to answer your question, that's really, each team's different. You're going to have certain style of players. And to me, defense is about one-on-one matchups. And how can I get my players that can win the one-on-one matchups in position to make those plays? And if there's guys I need to protect, how can I protect those guys? That's going to be different with each team. I think that we've really tried to condense things to a standpoint of these are the things that we need, and then we build on that. And that's really where our focus is.
I found it interesting that you mentioned Abrams as part of that group of guys who have stood out as leaders. Now he wasn't here last year, which is different than those guys, and that may or may not matter. But why did you feel the need to include him in that group? What has he done to warrant that?
The guy plays hard every play, every day. I mean, we give out, we call it the Juice Award every day. The guy who brings the most energy, and there's been, all the guys I've mentioned have made that. And he's one of those guys, but he's a guy that loves to play the game, is very conscious on being right, has a tremendous pride. He's one of the most competitive guys I've ever been around from that standpoint. So what we've got to do is just channel that to making sure that we do the things the right way, and we play within our team concept and let him play. But I've certainly been pleased with him and his effort and energy.